Good morning, Ricardo.
Good morning, teacher.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for joining. How was your meeting yesterday?
Good.
I'm glad. Very good. Well, so today we're going to continue with the topics, right? And last week we were working with comparative adjectives, right? So today we're going to also review comparatives, but we are going to study superlative adjectives as well, right? So I'm going to show you here the information, right? And I think I am sharing the presentation, right? So last week you were using, right, superlatives, porque usted se acordaba de EST, right? You were using superlatives, and I'm going to explain the difference, between comparative and superlative adjectives. Give me 1 second.
Okay, thank you.
The thing is that it is not recognizing the camera. Give me 1 moment. A ver. Ay, creo que tiene falso. Ahí está, I see. So I was saying that we will talk about about comparative and superlative. So when we compare, Ricardo, we compare two things, okay? Can you read the first part, please? The first two sentences. The first sentence.
Yes. The comparative is normally used if you want to compare two things. Things, people, etc.
Very good, okay? So whenever we are comparing, we're talking about two. To people, to animal, to things, to colors, right? To cars, etc. And when we compare, if you remember, we use short adjectives or short words, and we study the rules, and we know that we need to add er, right? But if they are long adjectives, ¿cuál usábamos? ¿Se acuerda? Como por ejemplo expensive, beautiful, difficult, dangerous. What is the word that we use?
More.
More, very good. And also it's important to use the word than, because it helps us to compare two things, right? So as the examples that you can see, he's taller than me, and my car is cheaper than your car, right? So it's the way we compare. Now, these were the examples that we, some of the examples that we studied last week. And we were saying that if we have the combination consonant, vowel, consonant, we double the last consonant, like in the examples that you can see on screen. Can you read them, please?
If an adjective ends in one vowel plus consonant, we double the consonant and add er. For example, big, bigger, hot, hotter, thin, thinner. Similar to when I need a paint my house, I go thinner.
Correct, exactly. Okay, and people call it thinner, right? But it's thinner.
Yeah. Fat, fatter. If an adjective ends with a Y, we change it to I and add ER. For example, Happy, happier. Funny, funnier. Easy, easier. Ugly, uglier.
Correct. Okay. So with the first one, right, we know that those are short adjectives. Those are one-syllable adjectives. And I need to double that consonant. Also, we were saying that if we have adjectives that end in Y, generally they go with a consonant before. Now, can you think of other examples? A couple of examples that you can think of. For those ones.
Less.
Less is irregular, right? Less is irregular.
Yes.
Ajá, muy bien.
Tall
is
is taller.
taller. Muy bien.
Small is smaller.
Smaller. Very good. What about a couple of adjectives ending in Y? Difficult, right?
Yes, because it's no more.
Exactly.
In this case, teacher, play is only verb.
It's a verb. Good observation. Play is a verb, so we need here adjectives.
Cry.
Cry? Is
verb.
that it's a verb? Very good.
A little difficult.
What about pretty, right? What about lazy? Okay.
Yes.
Let me see. Picky, right? Etc. Let's go ahead and take a look at a list, right? Or with ly. Okay, let me show it to you. I just have it started beginning with, I have here ending with Y. Actually, these are very, how do you say, advanced adjectives. Let me share it with you. Se lo voy a pasar. I looked for a list with adjectives ending in Y, but these are very advanced adjectives. Yeah, kind of difficult. I share with you one, but esos están un poco ya más avanzados. I have adjectives beginning with Y, but not ending in Y. But as I was saying before, lazy is an adjective, pretty, right? Picky. Picky is a person who is very, like, is always complaining, right? This person doesn't like things, doesn't like certain types of food, and he or she is very picky. Ay, que picky as we say, right? But actually, even in Spanish, incluso en español lo usamos, picky, right?
Yeah.
Very good. So, when we talk about long adjectives, right, as we were saying before, if it has more than 2 syllables, 2 or more, de 2 sílabas en adelante, we use more, right? And then we use the formula more, and then the adjective and than. And over here with this one, we use adjective with er plus than, right? So it says Maria is more beautiful than Jennifer. And this book is more interesting than that book, right? And here we have some examples. Look, aquí está el que me dijo, less, right? So these are irregular words, right? And they change from the base form, right? So can you read them, please?
When we compare two things or people using long words, 3 or more syllables, we add more plus adjective plus than. For example, Maria is more beautiful than Jennifer. This book is more interesting than the book.
Mm-hmm. What about the irregular words, the irregular adjectives? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
irregular verb change. Good change to better.
Mm-hmm.
Bad change to worse. Far change to further.
Further, very good.
Little
Mm-hmm.
change to less. More change to much.
Changes to much, right? So little and less, right? Little is the adjective, less is the comparative. More is the adjective, much is the comparative, right? But as you can see, we use more. Siempre usamos more. Even though we know much is the other form, but whenever you're using it with adjectives, cuando ya lo usamos con adjetivos es more. Pero si yo lo estoy usando como un comparativo, that's going to be much. Okay? Now, it says write sentences using the words below. So, Ricardo, think about two things: people, animals, objects, etc. And you need to use the comparative adjective interesting.
For example, this book is more interesting than other book.
Okay. What about short?
For example, my brother is shorter than me.
Shorter than me. Okay, very good. Far. Far, remember that it is irregular.
Yes, it is a complicator.
Yes, But what about two places?
Sorry?
What about two places compared to places?
Yes, for example, San Salvador, San Miguel is, sorry, I don't remember the
comparative.
The adjective.
San Miguel is further.
Farther than San Salvador, for example.
Okay, very good. There you have a sentence, right? San Miguel is further than San Salvador. What about expensive?
For example, my laptop is more expensive than Or this desktop.
Okay, my laptop is more expensive than my desktop computer, right? Okay, very good. What about easy?
Ride a bike is more easier. Sorry, is easier.
Muy bien, ajá.
It's easier than ride a motorcycle.
Okay. You said riding a car. Is that or riding a bike? I'm sorry.
Yes.
A bike.
A bike,
okay.
Yes.
Okay, so riding a bike is easier than riding a motorcycle. Okay, I like that sentence. I am learning to ride a bike in the afternoon. I go out and I try, to exercise a little, but because when I was a child, I didn't learn. I mean, in my house, nobody had a bicycle, so I didn't know how to ride a bicycle. But I am learning now. So
wow.
yes, What about small? Small.
Small. My car is smaller than my husband's car.
Okay, my car is smaller than my wife's car, right?
Wife, yes.
Okay. What about good? What is the comparative adjective for good?
Irregular.
Irregular, very good. What is the comparative adjective for good?
Better.
Better, very good, okay? Better. And can you compare two things using that adjective?
For example, my hamburger is better than the other food.
Okay, my hamburger is better than
Other food.
other food, okay? I don't know if it happens to you, Ricardo, but when you go with your wife to have dinner or to eat something or with friends, you order food, right? And when you see other people's plate, you see, that looks better than mine. Ese se ve más rico y mejor que el mío. Entonces, and you are like, why didn't I order this? So yes, that would be something like, my hamburger, right, is better or looks better than other people's food. But actually, it happens to me. That's why I always ask, ¿qué vas a pedir? Right? Because I don't want to be like looking at it, no me gusta estar viendo, and then no, what are you going to eat? That, and I do the same with my friends. When I go out with my best friends, I always tell her, hey, tell me, what are you going to eat? ¿Qué vas a comer? Because I don't want to be looking at your plate and saying, ay, se ve mejor que el mío. So, and then no.
Yeah.
That's the secret. Very
Yes,
good.
good.
Yeah, what about high? This one is a normal adjective, right? So what about high?
For example, the building is higher than my house.
Okay, that's a interesting sentence. You know what? Ya me puso en qué pensar. Because when we talk about buildings, Ricardo, we use the adjective tall. Usamos tall para buildings, okay?
Okay.
But déjeme ver, difference between height and tall or height. Yeah, because generally, I mean, if we are talking about buildings, we say taller or shorter, right? Veamos aquí algo. Dice tall and high are both related to height, but they have different meanings. Look, I'm going to show it to you. But they have different meanings. Dice tall refers to the distance from the bottom of the object to the top of it. Okay. Cuando usa tall, dice it is related to the distance from the bottom of the object to the top. O sea, desde abajo hasta arriba. Esa es la medida de la que toma tall. And then it says, it means above average or above average height or with a notably high dimension. Okay, super grande. ¿Verdad? Then high refers to the elevation of the object. It describes the distance above the ground. Ahí sí me confundí un poco. Ok, aquí hay un ejemplo. For example, a tall person is the same whether he is at the sea level or on the top of the mountain. Mi estatura no cambia, esté donde esté, right? A small building would be the same height if it's built at sea level or on top of a Mount Everest. The same is true for a tall building. Ok, entonces usamos tall para altura y aparentemente height. Slope es como una cuesta, una subida, right? Entonces, it is, because if you see, there is a pyramid, aquí hay una pirámide, right? So, and it is making, I'm going to open the image here. Look, a tall tree, a tall man, a high wall, pero high mountains, right? Es elevación, como por ejemplo sobre el nivel del mar, etc. We learned something together. Aprendimos algo juntos, Ricardo. Let me see.
Yeah.
I will share it with you. Se lo voy a compartir. Yes, you're welcome. I always say to students that we learn together. Siempre aprendemos juntos. Ahí está.
Yes, it's true.
Yes. Y esa quizás es mi parte favorita, perdón que lo diga en español, pero that's my favorite part of questions. Por eso me gustan las preguntas. And I always tell students, ask me questions because if you ask questions, we learn together, right? Okay.
Yeah.
What about this one? Beautiful.
For example, for me, the mountain is more beautiful than beach.
Yeah, the mountain is more beautiful than the beach. Tell me.
It depends the specific place, but in general, I think it's beautiful. The mountain is more beautiful.
You know what? I think they both have their beauty, and I think it depends also on the mood because, for example, in my case, I like to go and see the beach, right? I like to walk on the sand. I like to see the sea, right? But I am not the person who is going to say, ay, me voy a aventar al mar. No, right? I am not like that. I mean, I'm afraid of, the sea, but I like to see it. But the mountain is different because you can enjoy it, right? You can go, you can get immersed, right, in the forest or the place that you have there. I mean, it's different, and I think also it makes you feel connected with nature. Lo conecta con la naturaleza. I don't know. That's what I think, right?
Yes.
Yes. What about bad? Bad is an irregular adjective, okay?
Yes, it's an irregular. For example, driving in the city or the town is worse than driving in the
countryside.
Other side, yes. Or
countryside.
Countryside. Yeah.
It's true. It's different, and it is less stressful too, right? So,
Yes.
yes, and but there are some places where even though you are not in San Salvador, it's terrible. For example, here, I moved recently to Lourdes, Colón, but people, they are very aggressive here. Believe me, Ricardo, the first time that I was here, I was surprised. And I was like, oh my goodness, I thought this was going to be different than, in San Salvador. So over here, it is not the case. But if you go to other places, smaller villages, I think it's less stressful than here. Then,
yes.
Okay, then over here, look, what happens? And this is very important, Ricardo, because now we're moving to this next point to understand what is the difference between comparative and superlatives, okay? And can you read the first part, please?
Yes. If you want to compare 3 or more things, people, etc., you use the superlative.
Exactly. Now, the way I explain superlative, Ricardo, is this. When you are comparing, you compare two things. But when you use superlative, is when you pick one out of a group, okay? Cuando yo tomo uno de un grupo, that is when I use superlatives. So it can be 3, de 3 en adelante, right? So 2 comparatives, more than 2, o sea, de 3 en adelante, 3, and so on, you use superlatives, okay? Now it says here, when using short words, right, one syllable, we add the plus adjective and est. Now, these are the same rules. Esas son las mismas reglas que vimos, solo que ahora en vez de agregar ER, ¿verdad? Vamos a agregar EST, así como usted me lo estaba diciendo la semana pasada. That's why. Now, same situation. If we have, more than 2 syllable adjectives, Ricardo, what is the word that I use? Do you remember?
Use more.
More is for comparative. And then for superlatives, do you remember? If you don't remember, no problem. I will let you know. Look, what is the word that we have?
Yes.
The most, right?
Yeah.
The most,
yeah.
right? So let's take a look at these 2 examples. Red car is the fastest of all. Or the red car is the fastest in the group. Dinosaur is the tallest animal in the museum. Creo que estas oraciones están incompletas, pero dinosaur is the tallest animal in the museum, right? Now, can you read this part, please?
When using long words, 3 or more syllables, we add the most plus adjective. For example, he is the most intelligent student in the class. She is the most beautiful girl in the world. Irregular words change. Good change to best. In this case, teacher, good change 2 times, no?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Because we have good, better, the best or best. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And the same happens with there is a mistake here. Let me fix it. Because here is the furthest, right? The rest are correct, okay? Same happens with bad. It's bad, worst, and now worst. Right?
Words.
Mm-hmm. And you need to add that T sound at the end. It's a T sound, right? Worst, right? The other one is worse. This one is worst, right? Same happens with far. It's far, further, the furthest, right? And then we have little, right? Ya no es less, es least, right? For example, there is a phrase in English that we say, es que eso es lo menos que puedo hacer por ti, ¿verdad? Para ayudarte. ¿Ok? Entonces, cuando yo uso esa frase en inglés, la gente dice, that's the least that I can do, right? Es lo menos que puedo hacer por ti para ayudarte. That's the least that I can do. Pero no lo usan como comparativos, sino que it's just a phrase. That's the least that I can do. Oh, thank you very much, le dicen. Oh, no, don't worry. That's the least that I can do. Es lo menos que puedo hacer por usted, ¿verdad? For you, right? That I can do for you. Mm-hmm. That's correct. Entonces, if you see, when they are irregulars, they change 3 times. And we have the base form, then we have the comparative, and then we have the superlative. Okay. Now, over here, right, as we were saying before, instead of using more, we use the most, right? Like, for example, if we talk about soccer players, right, Ricardo? Right now, probably we have more famous soccer players, but there was a point in which Messi was considered the best soccer player. So why do we use why do we use superlative? Well, because we are comparing Messi with all the rest of the soccer players around the world, right? Y como lo comparamos contra el resto, we use superlatives, right? Because we take one, tomamos uno de un grupo. So he was the best soccer player in the world. Now, can you think of some sentences? No creo que nos alcance el tiempo, pero can you think of sentences using any of these adjectives that we have? Usted puede escoger cuáles, ¿verdad?
For example, in this case, you talk about the Messi.
Ajá, ok.
For example, Messi is the best football player in the world.
Very good. So we use best. What about any of the ones that we have here?
What's the meaning tidy?
Tidy, ordenado, tidy.
Ah, okay.
Ajá.
The other sample is the health is more important than money.
Yes, definitely. Health is more important than money. Very good.
In this case, teacher, what's the meaning Messi?
Messi, cabal, como el nombre del jugador, es alguien desordenado, ¿verdad? Messi is the opposite of tidy. Messi is the opposite of tidy.
Okay.
For example, when I was a child, I had a classmate, and she was the tidiest girl in the classroom. So that means that she was always, her hair was done. She was always very clean, very organized. She was the tidiest girl. But as you know, in classrooms when we are kids, there's always a messy kid. So there is always the messiest kid in the classroom who is always, sloppy, decimos, ¿verdad? Que anda todo despeinado. The person has, this kid has a dirty uniform, no notebooks, no pencil, right? So that's a messy person. Yes. Have you heard that adjective before? ¿Ya lo había escuchado ese adjetivo? Messy.
No, no.
Yes, es desordenado, desorganizado. Pero
Okay.
para decirlo en una forma amable, messy, right?
Okay. When I was a child, I remember I have 2 or 3 friends.
Like that.
Yes.
Yes, and it always happens, right? And they grow up just like that. And you know what? They look very happy. They are
Yes.
always in with a good sense of humor. They are always happy and no stress, right? But the problem is when we become adults, right? That becomes a problem. Okay.
Yes,
So
true.
yeah, what about, well, from here, I think the irregulars that we have is far, which is far, further, furthest, right? Big, good, better, best, bad, worse, and worst, right? So I think those are the ones that we have. So I'm going to stop here because of the time, Ricardo. I'm moving to another class, but I would like to thank you for joining the class, and we are going to meet next week, right? So next week we have holiday, no classes next week until the next one. I think we're going to come back. Regresamos.
And Monday 7th.
Monday 7th. Very good. So I'll see you until Monday. Have a wonderful vacation, okay? And enjoy with your family if you can, right? Because sometimes there are a lot of things to do, right?
Thank you, teacher.
You're welcome. Take care, Ricardo. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. See you next week.
Next week, okay? Bye.
Bye.